Hey there, Adriana Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for October 24th through 28th, 2022. Well, we're coming into this powerful energies of the partial solar eclipse that happens tomorrow. Happens early in the morning, 4:49 a.m. in Mountain Time in the US. We'll be doing a supernova solar eclipse soul group session here coming up at the top of the hour. So I hope that you can join us for that. Really powerful energies here. Let's talk it through. The Sun and Venus have come together yesterday, passed over into Scorpio together. They'll be joining up. The sun will be, excuse me, the moon will be joining them for this partial solar eclipse. 2 degrees Scorpio, 0 minutes. There's a potent message here for us in this that it's time to come back together, that um, we came to work together. And there's been so much that we ourselves have agreed to block our community, our soul tribe, our love, um, to block the teachings, to suppress the voice of the true light, all of what we've had to go through in order to make it here. But now the astrology is saying we've got to step out of those stories of the past, and we're being given a very powerful opportunity to do this during this eclipse season. For this eclipse, we also have Mercury in Libra in square, exact square to Black Moon Lilith in Cancer for this eclipse. So we want to ask what this is about. We've got the sun and the moon together. I mean, excuse me, the sun and Venus together coming into this new moon. The sun is who we think we are, our identity, and Venus represents the feminine. So this is a deep dive. Scorpio is always looking to what's below the surface. Scorpio wants true meaning and purpose and truth and a substance to life, and is willing to look into the shadows in order to reclaim that light. So it's like the feminine is going on a journey. And what we're finding with Black Moon Lilith being so on the table over the last couple of months in Cancer, Black Moon Lilith is the deepest, darkest secrets of our psyche, hidden places we don't understand, typically often having to do with the feminine within each of us. And so Black Moon Lilith in Cancer is speaking to a deep and profound feeling that we all have of being abandoned and left behind, a disconnect. You can see how our world is all about seeking and seeking outside to try to find what we're looking for, to fill that hole, to be satisfied and gratified. And what we're finding is that the love we've been looking for has actually been here all along in our heart. But our hearts are so broken and disconnected. And so for the supernova soul and all of humanity, but the supernova soul, of course, you're aware and you're feeling it. Just everywhere that deep in your subconscious psyche that you didn't even know you had these feelings. And it's bringing up a deep and profound feeling of disconnect and separation, that and realizing that you could have all the things you thought you wanted, and as far as community and abundance and uh, awesome career and all this, but there's still this fundamental emptiness. And that's what this astrology is about. That we can't move forward in wholeness until we retrieve these deep, dark secrets and cleanse and purify the belief systems that are keeping us in shame. The main energy of this distortion of the feminine that we've been trying to bring back into balance on our planet. The feminine has been shed and kept into darkness, and anything that's hidden becomes shameful. But we're also dealing with the dark mother archetype. The When we fell asleep and we lost our connection to the great mother, which is right here in our heart, we then we're left with this dark mother archetype. And The dark mother energy, it's like it took over the feminine. And that's about it's an energy of abandonment, maybe a reptilian picture of that there's no care or love required in raising the young. And just kind of leave them, they'll figure it out for themselves. And then when there what is love there with the dark mother archetype, it's often toxic and poisonous love that comes with a great cost. And we've all had this play out in our narcissist empath relationships, the way we've chosen to go up against these belief systems and powers, or where we've given our power over to these belief systems. And all of this is on the table because we've got Jupiter hovering at 0 degrees Aries, about to retrograde into Pisces. And it's such a weird, interesting, this eclipse season is so creepy. I mean, Halloween, it's like, um, because here we have Jupiter. And if you can remember back to last spring when Jupiter moved over into Aries, and there was a feeling of like coming out of 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years of like confusion and hiding and just WTF, And it was kind of like, oh, I can get back to life again. And then realizing, oh my gosh, I wasn't living even before all this happened. How do I claim back this life? And this feeling like it's possible and the energy there. But Jupiter only made it to 8 degrees Aries and then turned retrograde. And now it's hovering at this 0 degrees Aries moment for this eclipse. 0 degrees Aries is a new beginning, a new timeline. It's like Jupiter going over this point 3 times from the beginning. We got this message of it's like anchoring in that Christ consciousness timeline. But so it's weird because it's hanging there like it's like I can feel supernova souls like, I thought it was getting better and now I'm back in the dark. And what is going on? And we're kind of grasping at that light, that sense of that memory that we could move forward into our power and our take our life force back and take our direction back, take our autonomy back. Um, and kind of just it's like it feels like just holding on for dear life to some sort of memory of this a different way that it can feel and be. And the message is like, yep, hold on to that because we got to go clear up. It's almost like you can't find what's been keeping you from moving forward into the light until you get moved towards that direction. And then that light is going to shine all that darkness. And that's where we are right now. And it's a journey deep into the psyche of where we bought into that the dark mother was adequate for us, right? And recognizing that all of this program shame that we find, okay, so that whole dark mother, the supernova souls have played out a story typically around a deep desire and the power what you had to have and as a soul to be able to come and incarnate as an advanced being into this lower 3D earth experience. So intense. And then that energy, that power of like wanting to come and be a part of this so much and this love for earth and humanity. And then getting here and feeling rejected again and again. Like, what are you doing here with that light? You're messing everything up, for the control energies. And then just, okay, I'll come back again and I'll try again. What else can we do? And eventually we just got beaten down and whittled down and like so separated from who we really are. And when we're talking about coming home to the Great Mother, we're talking about birthing into who we really are in our bigger, more true spiritual self, this bigger spiritual self. We've gotten this message from the beginning too. And literally, it's not quite a walk-in experience because it's who you are in a higher, more like a future expression that it's who you are and have already embodied. But in order to incarnate here on earth, you had to separate from this bigger self. You couldn't quite host that in this physical body. Now the energies are changing so that we are incarnating, literally having this part of ourselves that and there's almost an argument going on between that lower self that we thought who we were and doesn't feel worthy and is admired in shame that doesn't make any sense and is so blocked in the heart and not letting that, not able to even remember that, to trust, be able to trust, and what it feels like to trust and rest in the energies of love and safety and security. It's just been so long. And so we've got to completely reprogram. And the only way to do that is go deep into the psyche. And that's what this is about. And it starts now with this 2 degrees exact Scorpio eclipse with Venus there, saying the reawakening of the feminine into her true glory and purification is what's required to come back together in wholeness, you know? 2 degrees exact is like one hole and another hole. No fractured parts, right? And it's interesting because if you do feel called, you can do that soul group session today, which is coming up at the top of the hour. But if you can also catch the replay of that soul group session. And one of the things, as I was kind of writing out the description, the soul retrieval energy there's a lot of energy to that. So if you're feeling like there's disparate parts of yourself that you haven't been able to integrate and bring home, this might be a really great session for you because that's what we're doing. We're putting ourselves back together into wholeness so that we can work together again. So incredibly intense because it's like we've got Scorpio eclipses. This is the first activation of the South Node. We've had the South Node in Scorpio for almost a year now. And it's like we haven't really felt that Scorpio energy. And so this is a huge bloom of it because what happens after this eclipse, we've got this partial solar eclipse, 2 degrees, and then Venus, the sun, Mercury will be catching up will be and the moon, of course, first the moon, will be moving on to interact with the south node of the moon in Scorpio. So this is everything we're talking about because the south node is what's keeping us from moving forward in a karmic way. The north node, how are we going to get to where we're going? South node, what's holding us back from the past? And so here we have our first major activation of the South Node Scorpio, and it's the deepest recesses of our psyche that we can't get out without resolving. If there's a part of you that doesn't feel worthy of God's love and abundance, how can you ever move into the Aquarian age? It's like we have to completely rewire and rework this. And that's what this astrology is about. And if you can know that going in, it's also pretty short lived. It's only a couple months. But with Jupiter going back into Pisces, in the N degrees, he's only gonna make it back to 28, and it's like, ooh, N degrees Pisces, that's the death, you know? But it's also like we need to put to rest all those bullshit stories from the Piscean age where the light was dark and the dark was light, and we just bought into the fact that, we just have been carrying this guilt and shame that really goes back for supernova souls to Atlantean time, where you were convinced that your technology available in your body caused great destruction, and it's just not true. And so we're carrying this guilt and shame and on a deep level, and it's like blocking us from really being able to receive the love and the light of who we are and that great mother right there in our own heart. So it's powerful because for this eclipse, we've got Mercury in exact square to Black Moon Lilith, bringing all this on the table. Now, Venus and the Sun also made this square to Black Moon Lilith as they were coming through the end degrees or this part of Libra. And so we've got this kind of uh, there's an acceleration energy happening in this astrology leading up to the total lunar eclipse on November 8th. So it's like we're just getting started moving into, don't expect this energy to lift or change. It's like a weird dark cloud, but it's so dark, it's not real. you know, it's clearly a cartoon, and so we got to go under there and we got to go. It's like keep seeing this picture of going back in the past in these tunnels, and it could be the dungeon for you or wherever, but there's something you left there, reclaiming that piece of yourself and being willing to go back into that because you know that you're not that darkness and that you are the light. And it's that place in the wilderness or the desert where we face that deepest, darkest place within us because we've got to break open our heart again, because this is where this message is coming in. So Mercury square Black Moon Lilith and Mercury in Libra, it's about the archetypal perfect relationship, the balance between masculine and feminine. And that was the journey that Mercury retrograde the last couple of months was about. Going back into Virgo, back into Libra, purification in order to come into a better perfect balance. And now we've got like, oh, yeah, we like that picture of balance, but our feminine is lost and broken, and we can't get there until we clean it up. So, but very mystical combination of energies, because we also have, and part of the what we're feeling right now is Mars getting ready to turn retrograde, and Mars is our main action planet. It's our get up and go, let's do this, our warrior. And so Mars just does not like retrograde. Mars is in Gemini and will stay in Gemini for close to 6 months because of this retrograde, speaking to moving forward in our so right now we're experiencing a suppression and all of this. So Mars is in square to Neptune, and Neptune represents the delusions of the Piscean age, Neptune and Pisces, at home in Pisces. And so we're coming up against, it's like we have to go back deeper into the stories of delusion in order to free ourselves from all delusion. And maybe there's like this beautiful gift of the Piscean age that now we're able to face it. We've come far enough to face that deepest darkness that we've taken on within us and shed it for good. Um, and so, but Mars and square to Neptune. So Mars turns retrograde at 25 degrees, Neptune's at 23 degrees. And so they're, or 24, can't remember. So they are in this square, close in the square for, yeah, 23. So it hits this, Mars hits the square. It already happened exact in October, and then it'll happen exact in November after it turns retrograde. And so it's like 2 whole months of Mars getting ready to turn retrograde in, and retrograde in square to Neptune. And it's like going up. So our suppressed voice versus the delusions of the past and the lies. So the whole thing about the Piscean age was that Pisces has this collective consciousness, this connection to something greater. And so it was an opportunity. The control energies use the Piscean age to use that group think and connectedness to program us, you know? This is what played again and again. And then it was like, oh, well, everybody seems to be doing this. So I guess I should probably get in line along with whatever's happening, you know? And we're waking up from this. And that's why we need to go back into those end degrees of Pisces again. And know that you're fortified now. You're stronger. You've done so much work, and you can do this. And it's going to be so beautiful because you're bringing back the treasure of who you are. So, but Mars retrograde, and it's a suppression of the voice, so going deeper into the suppression of the voice, right? Because if the voice of the light was never able to be suppressed in the Piscean age, none of this shit would have ever been able to happen, you know? And so, of course, we've been reliving this suppression of our voice and now we're going deeper into that pattern, and frustration is growing. And so there's all this pent up expression over lifetimes and this whole evolution that wants to come forward. It's like bottled up in there. But I could see this almost as like a massive throat chakra activation. And then when Mars goes direct in January, it's like a waterfall of unexpressed expression, massive truth coming out in our world on all levels. And we're kind of leading up to that as soon as this Mars retrograde starts, which Mars turns retrograde on October 31st. So this square with Neptune is huge because it's saying the lies of the Piscean age are what's keeping us from moving forward in our expression. And it's time for us to have a new renaissance. So Mars going direct in Gemini is like, it's also bringing a lot of artistic expression and a lot of pent up energy. So this winter or this season is really good. It's not a time to move forward. It's not a time to put yourself out there in the world. It's Mars retrograde, and it's weird, and it's Scorpio eclipse season, and it's inner work. But what will come out of this is this beautiful expression of uh, an integrated art and the spiritual message and music and this new renaissance really getting started. So the mysterious thing here is that we've got Black Moon Lilith in Cancer. So Mars is in square to Neptune in Pisces, but Neptune in Pisces is in a trine with Black Moon Lilith. And when Neptune and Black Moon Lilith come together, it's really interesting and dynamic because it's like Neptune holds the truth of the ultimate spiritual truth of our connection and our journey, um, and that culmination of the Piscean age and spiritual expression, which was stolen from us. And Black Moon Lilith, the deepest, darkest secrets we're talking about in the recesses of our psyche, and particularly connected to the feminine part of ourselves. And this isn't about that mother and feeling disconnected and feeling unworthy and rejected and unloved, that, healing that dark mother archetype that we all agreed to play that out. You know, we have to come back and be like, oh, but I'm a child of God. I was never left alone or abandoned because by definition and by birthright, you are a fractal of this consciousness. You have direct access to it right in your own body. And so this is like a very mystical, magical energy of the darkest dark coming back into spiritual love. And it's, of course, Black Moon Lilith and Neptune are always going to bring mysterious energies. In a trine, it's a water trine, it's about flow and harmony and the feminine coming back into her peace and her connection so she can be that waterfall of unconditional love, where we're living and breathing in this great mother connection. Um, so even though it's really intense and we're going back in the dark and we've got super suppressed voice and we're getting frustrated and it feels like everything we've ever built beautiful has been stolen from us. No, this is the old stories. And those seeds have been planted and they're ready to sprout. And this is your preparation to receive. It's all about you feeling worthy to have what's coming to you. This is a message from this Uranus and Taurus and this whole era we're in. And now we have the North Node in Taurus. It's like all about our self worth for our new economy. We have free energy. We know there's a huge shift coming financially. It's going to be a very different energy. And yet, do we deserve it? And do we deserve our birthright of abundance? And ironically, while we're all frustrated and being like, why can't this work for me? Why do I have to work so hard? Why has it been everything just like, to just survive? It's just so exhausting. And I can feel supernova souls just being at this place of just like surrender, and that's actually a good place to be in this astrology, not surrendering to the dark, but surrendering to the ego, to this process and coming back into that love and trust and living again from that place. And sometimes you have to go to the scary edge of that wilderness in order to reclaim that peace and presence. And so it's a hugely empowering time. We got that message about the Mars retrograde being an initiation, a reinitiation for supernova souls. And so all of these messages saying, hunker down, go within, you're retrieving your light back, you're getting ready for your new expression. And as that ball starts rolling, Mars turns direct, Jupiter turns direct November 24th, moves back into Aries December 21st. Mars turns retrograde on January 12th, and then they'll be coming out of retrograde shadow. Jupiter out of retrograde shadow in February, and Mars March 15th, the Ides of March. So this is our timeline, and it's like incremental increase. And we're also feeling this as we lead up to the next eclipse, but it's like into the darkness, and into the mystery and into the past. Because after this partial solar eclipse at 2 degrees, and the sun and Venus are right there together, they're going to move on to into those conjunctions with the South Node. And so that will be first Venus on the 3rd, November 3rd, the Sun on November 6th, Mercury on November 7th, and then we come into that total lunar eclipse on November 8th in Taurus at 16 degrees Taurus. So it's all about moving over into this new paradigm of abundance economy, which is the truth of who we are. It's like never be made slaves again. It's over. You did it. We made it. Now we got that mop process to do, and we got to do the deep inner work. So we're ready to move into coming back together and getting to work on the projects we came here to do. And this is the main thing, when we're talking about supernovas and their deepest desires of coming into who they are and fulfilling their role, always feeling there's something that you came here to do, but it's unclear. That has to do with this bigger part of you that's trying to land home. But an incredible desire to get back to the way we were in these pods we came in with, these groups of souls, and those strongest, most powerful connections in your inner circle, typically you haven't even met them yet, you don't know them even. There's so much power. If one of us is coming into our light, we're a target, but if two of us were way more of a target, do you see why we agreed to stay away from each other? To keep ourselves safe, to keep our tribe safe. And now we have to rearrange and reevaluate these contracts. Now that's the energy of on the 28th. So let's just talk through a timeline here. We've got this eclipse tomorrow early in the morning on the 25th in the western US. And then we are going to feel the Mercury will come. Mercury is in the square with Black Moon Lilith, but then comes into a trine with Mars. So this activation: Mercury in Libra, Mars in Gemini, Mars at 25 degrees, waiting to take that retrograde. And this beautiful trine is this air trine saying the new Renaissance is coming. This is the work we need to do to prepare for that. So, but a sweet energy in the trines, that Black Moon Lilith trine Neptune mysterious. We'll explore what that is about. It's exact from the 30th to the 5th of November, and we're already feeling it, but it's like mystical, magical solutions and harmonizing. And then we've got this air trine between Mercury and Mars. So there's harmonizing to this whole process of going back to the dungeons of the Piscean age. And we want to grab a hold of those and remember it's a new Renaissance, remembering we're preparing, remembering that we're remembering who we really are and landing home. Maybe it's just like some deep inner work right now to make our bodies and our physical environment supportive, be that great mother for ourselves that can birth and care and love for this new supernova baby infant um, power superstar part of ourselves. um, so this whole time then after. So right now we're feeling Jupiter at 0 degrees Aries will come closer and closer to that exact 0 degrees, and we're going to be feeling that around the 28th. And that's when Mercury comes into a square with Pluto. And so this is saying that a lot of what we're dealing with here has to do with where we've made contractual arrangements with energies outside of ourselves around whether or not we have permission to come into our power and our autonomy. And so huge energy, because we also had the Sun and Venus make that square with Pluto just last week as well. So we're looking at any outside loyalties, and it's hard when you feel so alone, nobody around you that's really on your page. And then you have to direct your course according to that and come up against all of the energies of outside world that are negating and arguing and invalidating your vision and your purpose. And this is going to come up because this is where we're at. We have to fully claim it and own it. And maybe we have to be in that singular place of just kind of being present with the grief of being the only one, being that pioneer that you are. But it's not the truth, right? So you can see how this 2 degrees exact Scorpio eclipse with Venus there are deepest vulnerabilities, um, bringing up everything that's keeping us from coming back together, right? Wherever we don't, I mean, if you, it can be excruciatingly painful for like powerful souls that have worked together over lifetimes to come back together in a way, because it's like, first of all, you have that mirror reflection, and you can't help but see who you really are in the other person because they see you and they know you, and they're not messing around. They're not like these other people that are just trying to confuse and distract you. And then it's like this deep wound comes up, like recognizing that, it seems like all these outside things that have kept you from coming back together, but it's really this deep programming around whether or not you deserve that or if it's safe or good. And we don't have time anymore to stay in these constructs. And the magnetic, as we each work on our electromagnetic field, when we learn to ground again to the earth, and then we can then our fields are magnetically pulled to each other. Whereas up till now, for most of us, it's been like repelling our soul team. And so then we feel again and again the feelings that supernova souls experience in the Piscean age of like coming so excited to be here and help to earth, and again and again after being beaten down in incarnations and being rejected, and not received in all of your beautiful light and glory. And so you just bottled that all up and you hid it away. And of course, to stay safe and to keep your tribe safe. And it's like, that's those old stories. That's exactly what we're washing away. So that dark mother, that wound of separation, the great mother can come back into our lives again and bring that balm and that love and that peace. We can build a new life going forward on a real foundation. Woo, so powerful, powerful times. And then on the 29th, Jupiter moves back into Pisces. And that's going to be, I just feel that we're going to feel a little dark. It's just going to feel a little like that whole feeling that supernova souls often feel like you thought you were getting somewhere. It's like, oh, no, you don't. It's like, all right, well, where's that coming from? Because, right. So we're going to be finding every little stitch of bullshit programming and conditioning that's still left in our psyche after all the work we've done. And so then for the month of pretty much November and December till the 21st, when Jupiter moves back into Aries, it's kind of like it's a dark sojourn, even though Jupiter does turn direct on November 24th. So that will be a shift of energy. Perfect timing. It kind of fits that Thanksgiving US timing. There's typically a resolve in the energies of the intensity of the fall around that time as the sun moves into Sagittarius. So there'll be a little bit of shift there. And then when Jupiter moves back into Aries, it's like breathing life back into this timeline. Oh, we were right. It really is real. We know, and it's our opportunity to claim it and anchor it and ground it in and know we deserve it and start living and breathing that truth. So, really powerful times. Don't let the darkness get you down. It's only to bring you back to the light that you really are and the connection, that wholeness that we can move forward and come back together in wholeness and create the magic we came here to create together. No wonder we're so scared of it, right? So, all these stories from the past are dissolving as we have Mercury then on the 30th will be moving into Scorpio. So then we'll have Venus, the Sun, and Mercury in Scorpio in the South Node. So then we have our Scorpio sojourn, and that is like we talked about, Venus, first the moon right after this eclipse, but then Venus, the Sun, Mercury, all will take their turns in between these eclipses, coming up with that South Node. And what does that mean? What is the Scorpio energy? Something hidden but powerful from the past that's keeping you from receiving and knowing you deserve your most amazing future. So here we are together, Supernova Souls. I hope you'll join me here in just uh, a few minutes with the Partial Solar Eclipse Supernova Soul Group session. I'll go deeper into these energies and use our collective consciousness together, that supernova field we've been building and remembering that we have this connection. This is a cool thing. We came in pods, supernovas, we came in soul groups. And so that's what these soul group sessions are about. We can use what happened is that even though we've been disconnected from each other, we've actually played out very similar stories in our past lives. So by looking at shared past life energy, something that we all experienced, it can lead us right into the dynamics, those contracts that may need to be cleared, or the soul retrieval type energy that was coming up, timeline alignment. Healing and clarity can come while we're in that space, this beautiful, purified supernova field that we built together. Thank you so much for being with me over these years. And if you're just joining, welcome. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.